Hello folks, Howie Marlin here with Addiction. Got a minute? It's August 5th. No, August 4th. And Saturday, August 4th, and I'm going to get into this podcast, probably chop it up. But the bottom line is, here we are, and this is an interesting podcast. It's about the thought I had, a way to affect change, a way to make things happen, and you'll hear more about it in detail. But grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, sit down, get yourself real comfortable. This is a long one. So, not that I need any more motivation, but to learn of the passing of such a warm and wonderful human being at the very prime of his life, a childhood friend of my son's, and as I've got to know him over the past few years, a true friend of mine, leaves me heartbroken, frustrated that I couldn't help him. Damn it. Just damn it. He's always been friendly, open to talk over coffee, and would fill me in on his life when we ran into each other on the street. Recently, I got to know him even better. I ran a couple of drug programs here in Martha's Vineyard for years. He got into trouble and had to attend a drug and alcohol program. Usually I'd walk through most of the class, providing data, comment, and philosophy with the hopes of broadening someone's vision of the world. But it's not easy with 20 more in the class, so I've always been eager to find someone who sticks out in the crowd, willing to learn, not just put in the time. One of the basic truths of the program, as I like to introduce myself with, was that I have such a poor memory, impatient and easily distracted. So I used a weekly checklist of subject matter to cover in that day's class and yet leave time for discussion. Over the first couple of classes, I'd find the quiet ones, the smokers, the jokers, the midnight tokers, and knowing your audience was key to establishing harmony and a cooperative group. And I always sought out a class leader, someone I could delegate some responsibility to, as having such a large group was always a challenge. Every now and then, someone would show to be comfortable in this kind of setting, bright and willing to speak their mind, and Joey was among the brightest I've ever known. I'm not blowing smoke. Those who know him are nodding like bobblehead dolls that the man was nothing short of brilliant. He was the one who would jump into a discussion with up-to-date data, accurate medication enunciations, and so much more. One night we were talking about antidepressants. I began to list SSRIs and NSRIs and attempted to share what little I know of the difference between them when Joey chimed right in and began to talk about what part of the brain was affected, what expected behaviors there were, what the beneficial side effects were, and why they were desirable, and he articulately described the undesirable side effects, implications of comorbidity, contraindications, and dosage variations. I mean, he was like a bloody pharmacologist, for crying out loud. Sometimes I'd be shocked with his articulations. Looking into the crowd, one could see the camaraderie he was growing. We knew we had a shining star among us, if not for the fact that he let out such a huge smile and inviting laugh. We all drank the Joey juice. It was easy. He was fun. The class may have been mandatory, but the people began to tell me how much they enjoyed attending the class, and he was to blame. But there were occasions where he'd stop by my office on the way out of class to get stuff off his mind, some darkness of his past, but never with anybody else. This was quite a private matter. Most of the time we'd talk about people, local issues, music. He had played the drums in my studio as a kid, so we had a lot to talk about. But a couple of times he touched on a pain so deep and so severe, so persistent. He could never break through with details, and I didn't question his yearning for relief. Clearly nothing but significant and prolonged clinical treatment could skim a remote chance of efficacy. But I already wore 3 hats with this organization, and I worked there. There was no room for me to work there as a one-to-one counselor. He'd need to find someone else. Fat chance. It took a lifetime of developing a trusting relationship between us for him to even admit to me that there was a deeper demon. Working with a new clinician would take years for him to build any level of trust. It just never happened. He did have a stellar recovery coach who has earned my admiration. He was perfectly matched for Joey's age and substance of choice, and I'm sure he did his best. But even a recovery coach's heart and commitment wasn't enough. Damn it. Being part of a local community mental health organization at the time, I had to guide my students to stay within the umbrella of services that the organization provided, and which could not include me as a private clinician. As I said before, I was already more than full-time with the DAE class, second offenders, and on the emergency services team, and considered more valuable in those roles. He did follow my recommendations, participated in a number of services offered, and was making progress when I left the company to set out on my own. I'd run into him on the street every now and then, and he did promise to come see me. He promised. But that wasn't enough. I'm not blaming anyone. The issue wasn't in what was offered to him, as they deserve credit. Well-staffed and good-intentioned, and by all accounts, are successful in their own right. But together something was missing. Every effort paled in comparison to the proximity of triggers, and so many people in his life who were happy to offer any powder that crossed their path. Like a dam with a crack in it, you can lay down lots of solid bricks, but if you leave a gap in the mortar, well, you know the rest. Here's where my story goes south. Why did he not go directly to long-term treatment after his first detox? I really don't know. I wasn't close enough with him at the time. But later in my class, he said it was about the money, of course. When you're talking hundreds or thousands of dollars a day, just where is any blue-collar family supposed to get that kind of cash? We'll talk about the pros and cons of various treatment centers on another program. Let's just go with this. After 1 or 2 months' worth of dumping money on an addict's recovery attempt, many families' finances start to squeak. Add another month or two, and there goes the savings. And if they relapse, the money spent is considered wasted, and the odds of convincing the family that spent that kind of money again is worthwhile gets less and less. Folks hear about this and are afraid to spend anything they know, for the odds are not in their favor. It's a real lose-lose proposition, so of course, if insurance can pay for any of it, use your insurance. Isn't that why you have insurance in the first place? We may think so, but the insurance companies sure don't. The whole idea is for them to make money, not lose it. And the opiate debacle is sucking the living daylights out of the insurance companies. They've responded by creating such a shell game with vicious, confusing levels of coverage, different products, packages, HMOs, PPOs, EPOs, POSs, HDHPs, and HSAs. What the hell did I just say? By the way, HMOs are health maintenance organizations, PPOs are preferred provider organizations, EPOs are exclusive provider organizations, POSs are point of service plans, and HDHPs are high deductible health plans which may be linked to health savings accounts, HSAs. Oh, that's just one example of the flaws of the dysfunctional insurance-driven profit-centric treatment economy. Feel like I've been through a wearing blender. Now add a dash of individual state-by-state insurance company differences and limits, and one's head really starts to spin. I'm in the industry and I can't make heads or tails out of it. Just what is the average family supposed to do? Damn it. Now that we've got your head spinning, come on over here and take a look at the elusive misnomer they call insurance coverage, I say in finger quotes. I'll stop right here with the following synopsis of what Dr. Dale Weeman, professor of surgery at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center, wrote in a piece he called The Conundrum of Health Insurance in the April 25, 2017 edition of the Huffington Post. The synopsis, he said, is, if you want to reduce the cost of health care, have those who write the damn laws be subject to the same damn laws, not a separate deal just for them. That's right. As the myth-busting website Snopes points out, contrary to public belief, congressional members do not receive free health care. Instead, they choose gold-level Obamacare policy and receive federal subsidies that cover 72% of the cost of their premiums. In short, Snopes reports that members of Congress and staff pay approximately 28% of their annual health care premiums through pre-tax payroll deductions. They also have access to free or low-cost care through the Office of the Attending Physician, as well as free medical outpatient care at military facilities in the D.C. area. That's a pretty good deal, especially given that the average 21-year-old making $25,000 a year would be charged $282 a month for Silver Obamacare plan and pay about half of that, or $421, thanks to subsidies, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. Oh, man, that just doesn't make any sense. That's tantamount to building a pool for your kids full of ice and glass and rocks and sharks, but building a huge, comfortable, clean, bubbly hot tub for yourself and wondering what the kids are complaining about. Is it me? Can I be the only one who sees this crap? Damn it. I have good reason to complain. For years, I had quite the overview of the system. I worked out of our local emergency department, providing with our emergency service team interventions, diagnosis, and finding treatment placement. That was the easy part. Then I had to secure insurance authorizations. Now there's the rub. I can't tell you how many arguments I had in persuading the insurance authorization agent of the criticality and necessity for inpatient treatment, crisis stabilization, or detox, and then being shot down when I had a wanting, willing, and a totally cooperative client sitting in front of me, only to have to let them walk because they didn't match their version of an appropriate criteria, or they didn't have the right insurance, or the right flavor of a particular insurance. Or are you sitting down? The client who's here on Martha's Vineyard visiting from out of state and their insurance simply isn't accepted in Massachusetts. For the love of God, what are these insurance companies thinking? Well, I don't know what they are thinking, but I sure as hell know who they're not thinking about. They're insured. They're people. Our family. Damn it. Now, for those of you who have never actually tried to get someone into detox, the following is a taste of what it's like. But to get the real taste of it, first put a rotting herring in your mouth and chew, and keep it there to the end of this podcast. Yeah, it's that much fun. All right, let's say someone gets lucky, and we find a potential detox site. All right. It's late at night because you've been working all day on this. You've reached the facility and you've got your loved one on a telephone interview. Great news. Oh, and they're qualified. Really? That's wonderful. And they're accepted. And your folks set off to pack a bag for the week and you're all set to get admitted in the morning, right? Right? Wrong. They won't save a bed for you. And you've got to call them first thing the next day. Oh, so there's no guarantee they'll have a bed tomorrow? Oh, and what if tomorrow is Friday on a holiday weekend? And Monday's the holiday? So you've got to call every morning at 7 to see if there's an available bed for that day? But the treatment center is short-staffed on holidays, aren't we all? And don't actually do weekend discharges till Mondays anyway? But that's a holiday, so it won't really be till Tuesday that we can see any movement. But then again, we got to call every morning, right? Just how am I supposed to arrange for transportation? On the mainland, it may not be such an issue. But here on Gilligan's Island, we depend on an hour-long ferry trip. And we need to suddenly get a reservation with a car, which takes a miracle to itself, no less it's expensive, as that doesn't happen so easy in August, when people usually get their reservations in advance in a year. Oh, and it's not that easy in July either. But now it's a 4-day holiday weekend. And remember, you were told that they would take the client's insurance, which allowed everybody to take a breath. So then it's by now midnight, and everybody went home so they could get rest and help in the morning. But a couple of hours later, I'm woke up from a deep sleep. They want me back in the ER. There's trouble about the client's insurance. Wait, don't tell me. A PPO and not an HMO policy, which means you can't take him after all? And since he's not in withdrawals yet, the hospital wants to discharge him onto the streets now? So, you can see it ain't so easy. Damn it. It's not so easy to get them into detox to begin with, even when you're medically cleared and transported by an ambulance from the ER. But even getting an ambulance isn't so easy either. Not all the ambulance companies have a contract with the hospital, and those that do have limited assets, resources, staff, and availability. Oh, and did I say there's a big storm just beginning to kick in, and the ferries stop running when it's a nor'easter, and it'll be blowing like this for days? And this is when you're going through a hospital's emergency department. Imagine what it's like if you've got a child detoxing in front of your eyes at home. You're alone, with poor cell service, and running out of battery on your phone. And they can put you on hold for a long, long time. Damn it.
Please hold for the next available customer service representative.
Is that upsetting enough? All right. Let's just say you got lucky. It happens. And you actually get everything you want. The loved one you're trying to help buys in. There's bed availability, insurance authorization, transportation all set, and sunny days. Off to the races you go. With a warm smile and a hearty handshake, the family watches you sail off into the distance to detox. And it's all good with the world. Good job, right? Well, you did your best, and the rest, they say, is up to the client. Or is it? What happens at detox? For those of you who haven't been, it can be one of the worst times of your life. Detox sucks. None of those places are Disneyland. And that's where unhappy detoxing people go. They're all sick because they're getting off of a product which has made them dependent, and they really don't want to quit. They've just bought into it because either they want to shut their girlfriend up, quiet their parents, make their boss stop complaining, or get out of the ER faster. So just getting them into an ER is no guarantee they'll stick it out. But some do. Sometimes you actually get someone who really does want to quit. It happens. And when it does, you'll see them return with a better attitude, calmer, certainly more comfortable, now that the addiction isn't ripping them apart. But they're still on the mends and in a delicate position. That's great, though. They went to rehab. The family's relieved, and everyone has hope for the future. They all think he's all set, nothing will get him back into drugs again. If only. Damn it. In spite of many people's best efforts, 5 to 10 days in a detox facility only allows the addict to hold the addiction to hold its breath. When the client is discharged right back into the streets, there's usually a package store a few blocks away, which is what happens to many who go through detox. 1 week on barbiturate protocol to ease the discomfort, and back home they go. Why? That's all their insurance will cover. Yep. Oh, you got 10 days of coverage? Well, that's how long you'll stay. Oh, the facility offers a sober step down and your insurance will cover that. Great. So you can stay in the living without booze or opiates house for a couple of weeks, which is pretty much what we're accustomed to. So, wow. And now you've been sober for how long? 40 days? 50 days? All right, that's good news, yes? Yes, it is. But do you think it's good enough? Think again. So you return home. Home to the house where, for years, you've stashed all sorts of stuff. to the circle of sunshine friends who immediately set you up with your favorite powder, and you slam back into your workday with the same addicted coworkers egging you on, then off to the same watering holes to meet after work, the same friends, homes awash with whatever floats your boat, and you're supposed to stay sober? What are you thinking? Certainly you're not thinking of staying sober, because if you did, you sure as hell wouldn't walk right back into that tar pit again, would you? But what options do you have? Where the hell else are you supposed to go? You're not made of money. You've burnt through everything your family had, and friends worth the lick who actually have an interest in your health ran out of cash and have long since given up. Now what? I'll tell you what, you're right back in the ER again, asking for help. Now you're detoxing, angry and depressed, wasted out of your mind and shouting that you're going to kill yourself for somebody else. You're right back to square one, and now looking at a mental health placement as well. Now, that's the subject of a whole bunch of other podcasts we'll do in the future. My point, just getting to detox doesn't kill the disease. You don't get the real help you needed. You were returned to the root of the problem with all the triggers and pulls that addiction needs, and the system just empowered addiction to grow. The addiction cancer continues. What happened? Parents look at me with tears of despair, simply heartbroken and hardly able to muster the strength to ask for help again, asking me what happened, what went wrong. I contend that what happened is that the system worked perfectly as designed. Damn it. Here's the rub. The system I speak of is the deal between the alcohol, drug, and insurance companies. Keep in mind that big tobacco is in the same fraternity. The goal is to keep you buying their stuff for as long as you live, and to keep you buying as much as you can for as long as you're healthy enough to consume it. Then, once you've been stuck with the illness due to the system, you're now no longer capable of being an income generator for big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco, and you need to die so insurance doesn't have to pay out. Awful thought, isn't it? But in my gut, I know there are redacted documents that have been discussed in gross, disgusting, immoral, unethical, and repugnant graphic, financial, profitable depiction, but unavailable to the common man. Do you think I'm being so ballsy as to say that there's collusion between the insurance companies and big pharma? Damn right. Do you think there's collusion between insurance companies and alcohol manufacturers? Oh yeah. Do you think there's collusion between the insurance companies and big tobacco? Nah. Oh, what am I talking about? Of course. Do I have proof? Not one stinking putrid drop. Nope. Just a sad feeling in my gut. Damn it. But this shouldn't stop us from doing the best we can. And it's going to take a family. A very big family. Yes, I'm asking for each of us to take action, to do something. Exactly what? Well, I'm asking you to think about that. We all have our intentions, resources, and experiences after all. Think globally and act locally sounds good to me. With 1 year of sobriety, you can get trained as a recovery coach and help someone stay sober. Open a sober cafe, a coffee house with music where people can enjoy themselves with others and not have to be in a bar to do it. How about trivia nights, card nights, bowling, hiking, biking, yoga, and exercise programs? Any effort to help tip the scales. Those are just some things off the top of my head. Let's put our heads together and come up with more. I'm known in my family as coming up with Howie ideas. Long shots, far-fetched imaginations of could-bes, should-bes, and wannabes. And here's one. Now hang with me for a minute. Let this idea build in your mind. A sober community, cost-effective shared housing types of places where people live for a year. They walk on or around the place and stay far from the tar pit of triggers and addictions. What if there was one in every town, as a place to grow accustomed to being sharp, capable, sane, and sober? What if they were employed by sober cornerstone industries in each town, with resident supervisors, counselors, and recovery coaches on site? Interesting idea, isn't it? Man, that would cost a lot, though. Where would the money come from? If only there was a way of systematically acquiring insane vast sums of money in huge lumps consistently throughout the year. But there is. Drug dealing. Drug deals. Of course. Where do you think all the money goes when there's a drug bust? Talk about putting confiscated assets to good use. What's so uncomfortable about that idea? We already have sober houses, and we have co-housing groups. A group of efficient houses surrounding a central community building with a large entertainment room and offices for administration. Let's call them sober communes. There will be so many of them. They'll be commonplace. And after a year of sanity, an alternative word for sobriety, you graduate and train to become a recovery coach. You can then spread your wings as you'll have been guided with career training, improved life skills, and now accustomed to living at ease with addiction and without addiction in your life. Now you'll be well on your way, on your marathon run, return to sanity, sobriety, and healthy living. I'm quite sure I'm a dreamer, aren't I? Well, aren't I? If you're in a system like this, there's only one thing you can do, and that walk into your state representative's office wherever you are. Just walk in and say, "Sir, you can get anything you want at Alice's It's Time to Change the System restaurant," and walk out. You know, if just one person does this, they may think it's really sick, and they won't listen to him. And if two people do it in harmony, they may think they're both idiots and won't listen to them either. But what if 3 people do it? 3, can you imagine? 3 people walking into their lieutenant governor's office, singing a bar of Alice's It's Time We Change the System restaurant, and walking out, they may think it's an organization. Then, can you imagine 50 people, I said 50 people a day, walking into their governor's office, singing this bar of Alice's It's Time We Change the System restaurant, and walking out, and friends, they may think it's a movement, and that's what it is. The Alice's Restaurant Anti-Massacre Change the System movement, and all you gotta do to join in is sing it the next time it comes around on the guitar. I have no idea where the thought of singing the song came in, but it struck me. How simple an idea it is, and how an idea can grow. And since I have this grand idea and stymied for a way to get it started, thought this song might inspire one of you to come up with an idea of your own, of just how it might work. I can't do this alone, but I am willing to stick my neck out and bet this got your attention. Think it's inappropriate? I don't care. Think it's hurting Joey's memory? Oh, quite the opposite. If you knew Joey the way I did, he'd get a hell of a kick out of doing this. And no, Joey would agree. So here it goes. You can get anything you want from Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want from Alice's Time to Change the System restaurant. Sit right down. It's around the track, around the back, just about a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want from Alice's Time to Change the System restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Change the System Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want from Alice's Change the System Restaurant. If we all drip one drop of sanity back into the bucket of our society, we just might end up filling the pool enough to give the next generation a little safer world. I've got a saying that describes my efforts. The best I can do is the best I can do. And I will. Won't you join me? This brings us to the end of another episode of Addiction. You got a minute? I'm Howie Marlin, and I wish you warm breezes, clear sailing.